yes, my Straight Dog family, let's keep moving on because it's time for me to extend greetings to the entire world and greetings to all who are logged on to Straight Talk, the program that provides public service every Monday and Thursday night. It's time for me to say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region. And like I said, I can say greetings to the world because many of you are in the Kittitian division and Caribbean diaspora all over the globe. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning and I will say good afternoon because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Some of you are in Africa, there's some of you in Asia, and there are some of you in Europe, and a whole lot of you all over North America. So I can extend those greetings as I intimated earlier. And we normally have first-timers. I never overlook my first-timers. If you're here for the first time, we welcome you and trust and hope it won't be your last time. And I want to thank all those who continue to share the link. When you do so, we get first-timers, and I am eternally grateful. And just to let the first-timers know that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with the opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I will hasten, as I always do, to pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, as I'm always reminded of the words of a hymn, excerpt from a hymn, which goes something like this. We are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil things to light. So let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we may we all may know, I should say, the blessing of the doing of God's will. So my Straight Talk family, especially for the first timers, absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We don't try to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We are not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy. We lead on the facts, as it's my duty to present the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to transparency, good governance, and integrity here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And this program joins us together with people across our federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. Some we know very well and have met. Others we do not know, and many we will never meet. Some will agree with the positions of truth advanced on this program, and some will disagree, and that's fine, because we also promote diversity. But what will sadden me, I will hasten to add, my Straight Talk family, is if we ever start to become disagreeable. So let us thank Almighty God for helping us to understand. Oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. So let's therefore hope and pray for the day when we will all sing his praise together. And for the first timers, I must also inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and we include your emails. And if you are so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens, on your monitors, right to the bottom there on your monitors, 663-6672. That's with an 869 if you're calling from overseas. Obviously, you need the area code. Or 646-829-6672, which is an overseas number. And there are many of you who like what I call a cloak of anonymity. And we give you access by our email platform. And we can't also forget Alexa. On Alexa, if you have that app, you're heard live. All you got to do is say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. And we thank that owner for providing access at an affordable cost. And we say thank you. And for those who, as I said, like the cloak of anonymity, the email address is right there. Straight Talk Patches, that's one word, at gmail.com. If you look at the top left-hand corner of your screen as well, you see that scan to donate today. And we thank all who have made donations to support our efforts. And to reassure you in the process that your contribution helps us to continue these important discussions and maintain our commitment to public service. Others who wish to donate can simply scan the code on your screen, very simple process, to access the payment form. And we thank you for any size of donations and for helping us to keep the dialogue alive. Let's welcome, I could never forget, our junior brigade. Very important, our leaders of tomorrow, young Dwayne, Tristan, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Travis, Travon, and those who are here but don't want their names to be called. I say a special hello to that lady, special lady I should say, in St. Louis. I haven't heard you for some time. And what about Texas, the Queen? My Straight Talk family, we usually begin with our observations in review, which are integral to Straight Talk. And many of you, I know, look forward to observations. And we then move into our thesis. And following my thesis, we will include your calls and emails, as mentioned earlier, to allow your full participation. And yes, you get an opportunity, as I say, to have your say. And our observations highlight the current issues and do some reflection where necessary, and ask a few questions as well. And after our observations, we will begin our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Time for a Fresh Start in St. Kitts, Nevis. So don't change your platform, don't change your link, just spread the word that Straight Talk is live at present on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Alexa. Our first observation, we are going to provide some more information on what was referred to as the heinous killing of a member of the Antigua and Barbuda Parliament, Asset Michael, very colorful parliamentarian for some time. And we are following that story, and we will keep you updated as the investigations progress. But Asset Michael has gone to the great beyond, stabbed to death, it would seem, over there in Antigua. And I know that many are already mourning that loss. Asset was a man of the people. Asset, who actually was expelled from the Antigua Labour Party, and I think perhaps the only one, or if not the first parliamentarian to have run as an independent candidate in Antigua and won handsomely as well. Our condolences are extended to his family, near and far. Our second observation, my Straight Talk family, we want to look at Social Security. And I recognize that there is an early closure of a Social Security tomorrow, November the 8th, as at 12 noon, we understand, as per the notice, to facilitate a staff development exercise. And I trust and hope that the development of the staff would cover issues of transparency, of course, good governance, and matters in relation to these issues. Because, my Straight Dog family, I am troubled. I am really, really troubled that there's no transparency whatsoever as it relates to the Social Security and our money. It's not the money of the board, not the money of the government, not the money of the minister. It's our money. And when we go to the Social Security website, there's no information or updated information on the Social Security Board's website. And it goes back some 4 years. And I need to call out the chairperson, not even the deputy chairperson, Wimpy, the former speaker, but the chairperson, Mrs. Janet Harris, a former financial secretary, and ought to know better. And if she knows better, she ought to do better. Because the Social Security legislation is very clear. We cannot make any mistake with its content as we speak to the finance of the Social Security Board. And it says under Section 40 of the Social Security Act, and you can see it on your screens, my Straight Dog family. It says, Section 40, subsection 1, for the purpose of this Act, there shall be established under the control of the management of the board a fund called the Social Security Fund. They shall be paid into the fund all contributions, all rent, interest, or investments or other income derived from the assets of the fund, or sums recovered from or for the fund on this Act, and all sums properly accruing to the fund under this Act, including without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing, the repayment of benefit or assistance. They shall be paid into or met out of the fund, rather, all claims for benefits or assistance, all refunds of contributions paid in error, all expenses properly incurred in the administration of this Act. And fast forward, my Straight Dog family, that it then states, my Straight Dog family, that the minister may by order publish in the Gazette, make certain amendments to the first and second schedule. But what I really want to get at, my Straight Dog family, is the fact that the board has an obligation as per the legislation. It's mandated by the legislation to report and to account for those funds that we just spoke about. And let's talk, family, on the section 41. Under section 41 of the said legislation, the Social Security Act, we will post it as well on your monitors, on your screens. And you can glean from your screens that section 41 speaks to report and account to be submitted to the minister. And it goes on. The board shall, after the end of each year, prepare a report on its activities. Beg your pardon. Excuse me, my straight dog family. Excuse me. The board, as I said, it reads, shall, after the end of each year, prepare a report on its activities during the last preceding year, and shall furnish that report to the minister not later than the 30th day of June. My straight dog family. It shall submit to the minister every account certified by the auditor under subsection 5 of section 40, together with the report of the auditor thereon within 1 month of such certification. It shall submit annually to the minister an account of the securities in which monies forming part of the fund are for the time being invested in accordance with the second schedule. And importantly, says my straight dog family, the minister shall, underline, shall cause a copy of every account or report submitted to him or her under this section to be laid before the National Assembly. And I raised this before, and it's important that I raise it again. Because when you go to the Social Security Board's website, the only information you find, if it's not moved, it's the account, audited accounts from 4 years ago, 2019. According to law, 2020 should have been already audited, and I know they are. 2021 should have been already audited, and I know they are. 2022 should have been audited by June last year, and 2023 should have been already audited by June of this year. As the law is clear, each year make a report on its activities during the last preceding year, and shall furnish that report to the minister not later than the 30th day of June. Submit to the minister annually, it says, an account of the securities in which monies forming part of the fund are for the time being invested, and the minister shall cause a copy of every account or report submitted to him or her under this section to be laid before the National Assembly. So why are they hiding our business? You hear them talk about good governance and transparency, but they are hiding our business. Excuse me. It's the people's business. It's not the business of Terence Michael Drew, the Prime Minister, or the Minister responsible for Social Security. It's not the business of Janet Harris, the chairperson or chairman of the Social Security Board. It is our business. The actuarial review as well has already been done. Why are these things being hidden? Why is the people's business being hidden by this government and its surrogates. And we're going to call them and call them out each time. We need to know what the hell is happening with the Social Security Board and its obligations to ensure that the people's business are made available to them. 2019 accounts and 2019 reports 4 years ago, 5 years ago is not good enough. And Ms. Harris, as a former financial secretary, you know better, and we expect you to do better. Guide the board or just resign. That's all you have to do, my Straight Talk family. We will follow that story because we need to know what's happening with Social Security. Let us go to the website ourselves and look and read the accounts and the reports and the actuarial review. My Straight Talk family, yesterday, was it yesterday? Was it? We had a 3-ship day Tuesday. I'm lost now. I think it was Tuesday. And I was happy that common sense prevailed at Port Zante. And the tents were no longer mounted in front of the stores. The barbecue grills seemed to have disappeared. And as I said, common sense prevailed, and we saw a Port Zante with the masquerades, the monkey vendors, or the primate vendors they call them, and the passengers enjoying themselves and not being smoked out. And our final observation for tonight, my Straight Talk family, want to be cautious with this one because the US elections are over and the people have spoken. And I believe that Donald Trump is a name that historians will write in bold letters with inverted commas. Historians will write that he became the 45th president of the greatest nation on planet Earth, who was impeached on 2 occasions by a U.S. Congress and twice tried by a U.S. Senate, vilified by the media, targeted by the U.S. Justice Department and a zealous Attorney General, turned a blind eye to progressive prosecutors at the state level who slapped Trump with 34 criminal indictments and a plethora of civil lawsuits. Eliminate him by using all means necessary was the obvious plan that culminated with 2 assassination attempts on his life. But the lesson we must learn from this unusual story, my Straight Talk family, I believe, is this: God is the absolute judge who puts one down and sets another up. So come the 20th of January 2025, Donald Trump will be set up as the 47th president of the United States of America. My commiserations go out to some, and my congratulations go out to others. I saw our Prime Minister send a congratulatory message. I don't know if Trump would ever receive it, but he hastened to send a message. Don't care about us. He gets into other things. But my Straight Talk family, Straight Talk remains the guardrail of democracy. And I want to say something I said before, and I think I am duty bound to continue its repetition. That my role as the host of Straight Talk is not about PAM, not about Labour, PLP, CCM, NRP, or any other party. And yes, I have served PAM, and I have served the team unity government of which PAM was a part. But my role here on Straight Talk is not about politics. My role is to strengthen our democracy. My role is to ensure that our leaders act in the best public interests. And as I said before, I'll repeat it. When we look around the world, whether in the United States, Canada, England, you see the media playing their role. Everything government does, it has to give an explanation to the people. Whether it is here in St. Kitts, it's Labour, PAM, PLP, or whomsoever, they ought to account to the people. But here in St. Kitts, there is a definite weakness, as that is not happening. And everybody just accept it. Accept that they do as they like. There's no accountability. There's a definite lack of transparency. Good governance doesn't exist. And there's a definite lack of integrity amongst these public officers, and in particular, the members of the cabinet. Yes, I thank all those who continue to call me and provide your advice. But I will not be like a mule or a horse or a mule whose mouth must be held with bit and bridle, lest they will come near me. They won't muzzle me. And I want you to understand again, my Straight Talk family, I want to remind you, to implore you, that the power in the people is stronger than the people in power. And those are my observations in review for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, which I intimated earlier, my short dissertation. I have titled, Time for a Fresh Start, my Straight Talk family, in St. Kitts and Nevis. Because when we reflect on what life was like here in St. Kitts before August the 5th, 2022, it is not difficult to conclude that even with the advent of COVID-19, the corona-induced virus, life was much better, even under those circumstances. Back then, we did not have to make a choice between paying our rent. We did not have to make a choice between paying our electricity bill and or buying food. After 2 years, my Straight Talk family, whether we like to hear it or not, Terence Michael Drew has made our country less safe. Remember, he promised that he would bring the murder rate to a single digit, or digit, I should say. Not me. This is what he said, my Straight Talk family.
We are happy that crime statistics have continued to be at an all-time low, particularly in terms of gang-related homicides. The Ministry of National Security has set as a target the downward trend in homicide from the previous 15-year low of 10 to a single digit.
And yes, my Straight Talk family, that's what he said. He recruited his son-in-law as the National Security Advisor, who predicted that there will be 12 murders this year in 2024. This is what he predicted, my Straight Talk family.
If we had one murder a month for 2024, as terrible as it sounds, we will only have 12.
That was his prediction. We'll only have 12 murders. But at present, we have had 29 murders, heading hard to overtake our 2023 statistics, when there were 31 murders. In his first 4 months in office, Terence Michael Drew had 8 murders. It must therefore be fair to ask, who will keep us safe, my Straight Talk family? We have a police commissioner or a police force with a Commissioner James Sutton, who the National Security Advisor referred to as being incompetent, and he does not speak with him or does not meet with him. And that is how bad it is within the national security architecture. Who will keep us safe, my Straight Talk family? Is a question we must ask. When a commissioner of police reassigns from a special unit officers who failed to submit to a polygraph test. Yes, he told us that, my Straight Talk family. We bring you the facts.
With regards to the polygraph testing, we were doing some testing recently of our specialized unit, and a number of persons opted not to be vetted, and some internal decisions were taken with regards to those persons.
Can you clarify what those decisions were?
They have been reassigned to elsewhere.
And you heard him for yourselves, my Straight Talk family. A number of persons refused to submit to polygraph tests from a special unit. And what happened? They were reassigned. But who would believe, though, that the same special unit is now headed by a superintendent promoted by the same Commissioner of Police, James Sutton, when this officer failed 2 polygraph tests, one local and the other overseas? What double standards? So we must ask, my Straight Talk family, who will keep us safe? I get no pleasure in saying that under Prime Minister Dr. July, in just a little over 2 years, there were 68 murders since he dismantled the peace program, which is a criminal enterprise. Yes, he called it a criminal enterprise, my Straight Talk family.
So we launched the Elevate program because under the corrupt criminal enterprise called the peace program was a criminal enterprise endorsed, sponsored by the administration led by the member from number 7. The peace program was a criminal enterprise sponsored by the state. You had what you call a management review board and an initial engagement team come talking about peace program. This was a criminal enterprise sponsored by the state, Madam Speaker.
My Straight Talk family, who will keep us safe? Examine the state of our economy. According to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, the total public sector debt of St. Kitts and Nevis at the end of December 2021, that's what I have, was $1.6 billion, or 69.2% of GDP, gross domestic product. The Ministry of Finance subsequently reported the total public sector debt was $1,596,800,000, 60% of GDP at the end of March 2022. That's the only statistics we can find. As the same date, public corporations' debt accounted to $507.7 million, or 53% of the total guaranteed debt, while the NIA's debt represented $450.1 million, or 47% of the debt. The central government's debt of $639 million was comprised of domestic debt amounting to $351.1 million, or of 54.9%, and external debt of $287.9 million of 45.1%. And that's the guaranteed debt. Now, Nevis, it was reported by the NIA, or the Premier of Nevis, that its debt was over $500 million and mounting. This is what he said, my Straight Talk family.
As of 31st October 2023, the central government debt stock portfolio stood at $480.08 million, which is an increase of 4.8% when compared to the debt level of $458.27 million as at December 31st, 2022. For the period under review, the central government domestic debt amounted to $450.74 million. Our central government debt, combined with the debts of our statutory corporations, provide an overall public sector debt of $544.69 million as at October 31st, 2023, which indicates an increase of 4% when compared to the public sector debt level of $523.92 million as of December 31st, 2020.
And my Straight Talk family, with all that debt, yet Brantley wants $100 million to borrow for an airport to accommodate a French-Israeli billionaire, Patrick Drahi, who wants to directly land his private jet in Nevis. So my Straight Talk family, Brantley set about to displace poor Nevision people and even the rich who may not have a jet like Drahi. But because of him, one man, rich people too, will lose their beach property. When Drahi lands his expensive jet in France, where he lives, he has to drive for hours to get his expensive home in Paris. So why can't Drahi drive for 20 or 25 minutes from RLB in St. Kitts to his home in Nevis? And don't be fooled, my Straight Dog family. Drew said he's working out something with Brantley.
The Premier of Nevis disclosed that he asked for financing from the federal government for the Vance W. Amory International Airport project.
Yes.
How much money did the Premier ask for, and approximately when will the funds be made available?
With respect to the Premier saying that, I think the Vance Amory Airport can be enhanced and can help Nevis. He has brought to the federal government how we can partner. The federal government is working with the Nevis Island administration on that project. I don't know if he gave the numbers, but he would have the final numbers. But I can tell you that the federal government is working with the NIA with respect
my
to
of family working, but he don't know the numbers. But don't be fooled by this fancy airport talk by Brantley, my Straight Talk family. Don't you be fooled.
When I landed at the airport in Bermuda, I looked at my wife, she looked at me. I am prepared to say tonight that there is no airport in the Caribbean that I have seen that can compare. You're not getting off any plane and walking down any stairs and pulling no bag across any tarmac. You're not getting into a bus to be transported. They have first-class jet bridge. You are as if you've landed at JFK or any of the major airports you can find in the so-called first world. Immaculate, modern, state-of-the-art. I could not believe an island 21 square miles. Then they drove me past the hospital. I said, my God.
My Straight Dog family, you ask ourselves the question, so what? Fancy airport, so what? But although what is interesting is Brantley's comment about the hospital. And when he said, oh my God, you heard him say, Because he must have imagined for 7 years, going on to 8 years, he has been trying to complete a wing on the Alexandria Hospital in Nevis. But money done. But getting back to the airport though, my straight dog family, he said that Bermuda is 21 square miles and has 8 bridges, so that doesn't make any country first world. As a matter of fact, I took Air France a few months ago from Paris to Philipsburg in St. Martin, and we boarded by bus and airline stays at the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. This happens at one of the largest airports and many large airports in Europe, in a first world country. I forgot to load that PowerPoint, forgive me, but I'll get it for you. But what you need to do, as I said before, is to bridge the islands. Bridge the islands, Brantley. And one division I understand did this concept. If you bridge the islands, you would expand the economy in Nevis. This would create greater benefits for Nevisians and much more benefits than the hundreds of $millions you are begging from July to spend on an airport that you have already abandoned. Once that bridge is built, Nevis will expand its market. As I said, by 60%, it needs to be repeated. While St. Kitts will only expand its market by 30%. Those lovely restaurants that provide such good customer service in Nevis will attract a lot or most of the business from St. Kitts. You'll get your killer bee, and so on. And yes, we will have people coming from Nevis, but there's only 13,000 of them, whereas 38,000 more Kittitians or people or persons are on St. Kitts. And this should have been done a long time ago, Mark. And Nevis would have been part of growth, not because of the Federation, but it would have been taking business from across the Narrows here in St. Kitts to Nevis without having to come and beg the federal government for anything or for any handout. Your NIA cabinet member, Spencer Brandt, supports the idea of a bridge and made his own suggestions. This is what Minister Brandt said in Nevis.
If this bridge were to come to fruition, we perhaps don't necessarily need to build a complete suspension bridge. We have some space between St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have a lot of materials that we can dispose of and shorten the actual suspension of the bridge and put what you call reclaimed or made up island somewhere over there. Can clean up the environment. All of these old derelict vehicles create a landfill, you seal it and you build like one massive roundabout right out there in the sea.
And that's suggestion from the minister with responsibility for communications, I think, and public works in Nevis. So the snake, Mark Brantley, just always gets it wrong and talks from a point of ignorance. For example, my straight dog family. For the snake Brantley to state, this, my straight dog family, is another thing.
So that there's some out there who listen will say, well, the Constitution does say something about that because the Constitution talks about an 80-20 split, but the constitutional formula has never been applied. So my view is, as we go back to constitutional reform, that is something that we must now look at to determine, well, all right, you have this thing here, you've never done it, you've never applied it. Do you start applying it now, or do you come with some different formula? Sure. Right? That really is the issue that we need to.
And my straight dog family, to state that the formula was never applied is either being deceitful, or he's talking, I should say, from a point of ignorance. For my Straight Dog family, the revenue sharing arrangement as constitutionally stipulated worked up until the construction and operations of the Four Seasons Hotel in Nevis. In the early stages after independence in 1983, all the transfers used to be from St. Kitts to Nevis, because there is a calculation whereby both revenues on St. Kitts and Nevis were added together, or accumulated, I think maybe the right word, after which Nevis got 1/5 and St. Kitts got 4/5 of that revenue. At the end of the process, if Nevis had collected less than 1/5 of the revenue, then it will get an amount to make up that 1/5. And that was the arrangement at the time. So, in the early stages, Nevis got money from St. Kitts, as it never collected the amount that constituted its 1/5 of the revenue. However, once the Four Seasons Hotel began its operations and the offshore banking in Nevis thrived, offshore banking sector thrived, the revenue in Nevis rapidly increased, and the NIA started to collect more than its share of 1/5, which meant that Nevis should now be transferring revenue back to the capital, to St. Kitts, because it was collecting more than 1/5 of the total revenue of the Federation. And what happened thereafter, and I have to clarify this, either Sim Daniel or Vance Amory, may they both rest in eternal peace, wrote a letter requesting a suspension of the arrangement. And this was accepted by the PAM administration, Kennedy Simmons. It really should be the PAM NRP administration, Kennedy Simmons. So there is no need to run to the Bretton Woods institutions, my Straight Dog family, like the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, now called the World Bank, or the International Monetary Fund for advice, as these institutions were both born out of the Second World War on July 1st, 1944, to be exact. As the battles of the Second World War raged in Europe and the Pacific, their purpose was to agree on a system of economic order and international cooperation that would help countries recover from the devastation of the war and foster long-term global growth. We don't have a war between St. Kitts and Nevis. What we have is a constitution. So let us follow the constitution. With the snake Mark Brantley and Dr. July, both in collaboration, all that needs to be done is to revise the constitution, revise the quota, revise the distribution amount based on the current population size. My Straight Dog family, I consider it important. I considered it important to provide you with this information, because inflation has decimated the purchasing power of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Who will pay our bills is a fair question. And this cannot be about PAM. It must be about the cost of groceries. It is not about PLP. It is about the costs of our groceries. It's not about NRP or CCM or labor. It's about the costs of our groceries. The issue of safety and our stagnant economy must be placed at the feet of Terence Michael July and his incompetent team of experts. He dismantled the peace program and PAP. He stopped the Bastille High School construction and construction of the solar farm. Drew never subscribed to the concept of continuous government. In 1980, when the government changed, Simmons completed the seaport project started in 78 by Bradshaw. He constructed a warehouse, or transit shed as it is called, and procured the necessary port equipment through CEDA, the Canadian International Development Agency, I believe. In 1995, when the government changed, Douglas continued the PAM project and rehabilitated the airport terminal building in 1996. It was designed on the PAM. All Douglas did was to put in the escalator. Nothing changed, and an additional carousel. That airport terminal was designed on the PAM. But Douglas prescribed, or subscribed, I should say, to the continuous government concept. In 2015, Harris continued and completed the Southeast Peninsula Road rehabilitation and the tunnel upon the Kennedy Simmons Highway, and constructed the 0.5 megawatt solar farm on Frigate Bay Road. However, in 2022, the government changed. Drew abandoned the Bastille High School and the solar farm projects. St. Kitts Nevis needs an urgent political realignment. And a lot depends on the people who need to understand that the power of the people, like I said earlier, is stronger than the people in power. This administration, this July administration, gets everything wrong. They came into office, and the first thing they did was to attack the poor people instead of attacking the issues that made these people poor. This one man or this one woman, for example, who was raised, my straight dog family, this woman was raised in a Christian household, the daughter of an archdeacon, but acts as though she was baptized in the Father, the Son, and the IMF. I say so because she justified her attack on the poor people on PAP, talking some stupidness about the IMF recommended in our social assistance programs, my straight dog family.
The advice we have gotten, particularly from IMF reports, is that we actually need to streamline our social service. And so we understand, of course, that people need assistance immediately, and we really try to service people who are most vulnerable. And so we also want to be able to apply conditions so that when we ask questions like, how are you using the PAP money? We're not trying to be invasive. We're just really trying to understand if it is that you're using this $500 to pay your lights, if you're needing the money to pay for food.
And my straight dog family, this young senator obviously ignored the teachings of her archdeacon father found in Deuteronomy 15, which reads at verse 7, if anyone is poor among your fellow Israelites in any of the towns of the land the Lord your God is giving you, do not be hard-hearted or tight-fisted toward them. The last thing they did was to put more pressure on poor people, especially single mothers, who now have to pay an extra $1 per trip on bus fares. Have you stopped to think that a single mother with one child now has $4 extra per day to and from Bastille, amounting to $80 per month? And maybe more? That she has to take out of her minimum wage just for her bus fare. I understand the bus drivers need assistance. But what about the derivative effect on these single mothers? The country needs healing, my straight dog family. How, you may ask? And I call on those in diaspora who are bribed with the free flights from New York, Canada, UK, call it all, St. Thomas, all over the world. But think about it, my brothers and sisters in the diaspora. The promises made were not kept. These members of cabinet do not listen to the people to understand our problems and help us to find solutions. Everyone is paying more for electricity, and this is inflationary. People are hurting. The country is heading in the wrong direction, my straight dog family. Then comes Dr. July, and he speaks about CBI diversification. Would you believe that, my straight dog family?
On the days of sugar, when sugar was king, the diversification was always the way. We learned from tourism that tourism should not be the only leg on which our economic life stands, our economy stands, but it should be multi-pronged, diversified, in local parlance, multiple legs, or more than one foot, as we would say. It's critically important that we set a strategy that can achieve that, because when we see what happened with the CBI, we come to realize, if we had not realized, how critically important it is to have a diversified economy. And I would always say it was poor, neglectful, bad leadership to bring St. Kitts and Nevis to depend so heavily on one sector. And I would say that that was one of the most irresponsible economic strategy that this country has ever had. Irresponsible, because we could have done better.
My straight dog family, the man is so bright, but all people would say he knows not his ass from his elbow. What is more irresponsible, my straight dog family, than cutting his revenue stream in an attempt to diversify the CBI? Yet the CBI has not been diversified. He has not diversified, and now has no money coming from the diversification. Now he is trying to recover by saying the CBI is good. And we are number one on the CBI index. So confused is Terence Michael July, my straight dog family. Now he has sent his special envoy Calvin St. Just to market the CBI. Has Special Envoy St. Just sold any units in the last 30 days? Tell us. Does Special Envoy St. Just understand the program and the markets he visited? Tell us. But my straight dog family, it gets worse. Believe it or not. This economy is so bad. And the leadership in this country is so bad that Straight Talk has learned that investors are just getting out. Marriott was sold, my Straight Talk family, because Victor Zeng is saying he had enough of this incompetent government. Prime Minister July told us about Kitishan Hill. He said this about Kitishan Hill.
The reinvigoration of Kitishan Hill. Administration is actively courting investors to bring Kitishan Hill to full life, offering new opportunities for tourism and community development.
He also said this, my Straight Dog family, about Christopher Harbour as well.
Let me introduce you to some of these transformative projects. Christopher Harbour redevelopment. We are in discussions with the new investors who will inject capital into Christopher Harbour, enhancing our high-end tourism offerings, particularly in yachting, and creating significant employment opportunities.
My Straight Dog family, I challenge Dr. July tonight to tell the country about the sale of the Marriott Hotel. Street Dog does not have all of the facts as yet. But given certain facts, Straight Talk is led to believe that Vic Dizen has already sold or is selling the Marriott Hotel. Straight Talk further understands that it is being purchased or has been purchased by a Chinese pension fund. July needs to clear the air and tell the people that the Marriott Hotel has been sold. July must also tell the people why all of a sudden, with only 2 years and a little more in office, and this man who invested over $250 million of his own money to construct a hotel in the late 90s, why is it all of a sudden Vic Dizen has decided to take his exit? There has already been an offer and acceptance of the deal. So we ask the question tonight, what does this hold for the future of the Marriott itself, and by extension, the entire tourism sector in St. Kitts Nevis? Yes, we know that there are still issues, or were still issues with the Dizen Corporation and the Frigate Bay Golf Course. We know that, my Straight Talk family.
I have to go back in history. The former government made a bad deal with regard to the golf course. I was part of the negotiating team and I was shoved out of the negotiation. It was orchestrated for me to be booted out of the negotiation. The arrangement over there with the golf club, the golf course, the Frigate Bay Development Corporation, going back to those negotiations 20 years ago, are not good, and they were never in the best interest of the country.
But my Straight Dog family, so important was this investor that the Dizen Boulevard was named after him. And we asked the question, will this government now change the name to the Chinese Pension Fund Boulevard? July is out of step with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, who are crying out aloud, but he's either not hearing or he's just not listening. Seniors have cried out, my Straight Talk family. I have heard them. You have heard them.
It is not EASY. It is not easy. And do not be fooled. Do not let no nice show and no nice thing fool you. The $500 from the PAP, it is so helpful. It comes in so handy.
And my Straight Talk family, single mothers are crying out too, my Straight Talk family.
You know, I think, you know, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help, especially for a single parent. We do have a rough time.
And my Straight Talk family, this team of self-proclaimed experts is out of touch with the majority of the people and the direction in which the country wants to go. People can't buy food to eat. People can't pay their rent. People can't pay their electricity bills. People can't get water to bathe their skin. Just tonight, we confirm that people in the Taylors and Shadwell, East and West, and the Waste Garden area only get water from 5 in the morning to 11 in the morning. People can't bathe their skin. And worse yet, people are not safe, my Straight Dog family. Young men, I told you before, are shut down and lie in drains like a dead dog. And this is graphic, may I forewarn you. A young man, the 29th murder, shot and lie in a drain by street dog family. 29 murders. Jurors are being shot by street dog family. Jurors are being shot, according to the Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin. Jurors are also being shot.
I try to ignore the social media and the WhatsApp foolishness that is created by very bad people in our society. But there was something going around about a juror and the AG ain't said nothing about it. And let me tell you something. A juror was murdered. One of the three persons that was murdered last week was a juror.
A juror was murdered. And what was the response by Street Dog family? They ran to Parliament and passed legislation for judge-only trial. And in the process, took away our right to be judged by a jury of our peers. Imagine, the country has returned to the colonial days when we are tried by a white man. No wonder they are friends, birds of a feather. My Street Dog family, they stick together. At the end of 2 years, my Street Dog family, and counting, we can say that the juice was not worth the squeeze. There's much talk about sustainable island state and transformation. But major transformations will take years. Sometimes this time it may take decades. We must begin with quick wins that can create momentum. Then we can tackle deeper systemic issues, my Street Dog family. The road to a fresh start can be challenging. But with the right leadership, commitment, and inclusive planning, a country can reinvent itself. And this country can invent itself and build a brighter future for all its citizens. We need inclusive leadership. A fresh start requires leaders who can unite rather than divide. It is essential to foster a leadership culture that is committed to public service, transparency, and accountability, my Street Dog family. How can Dr. July tell us about the development bank and the millions of dollars missing from the bank? Then lock up somebody, whoever stole the money, July. But you must also tell us as well about the 1,000 water tanks or water buckets, some people call them, costing $5.8 million that have not been accounted for to date by Dr. July. Just a few days ago, Casilda complained that her daughter had not received a tank. And the response of Dr. July incriminated him, my Street Dog family. Here's what he said.
Good morning, Honorable Prime Minister. What I'm going to look after you when you were small that you reach that Prime Minister. But I want you to put things for me. Me children them ain't getting on the ice castle. Me children them ain't getting on the water tanks.
Okay. I want the names.
To help them
no
get
problem.
The water tank. And good Prime Minister,
Casilda,
you take care.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are distributing the water tanks. The water tanks we are using, especially when we had the drought situation, so that people can have a large receptacle to fill up. We continue to distribute them, but this is Casilda, and I would ask my office to look into it and to see where we are with it.
Why, my Street Dog family, after a year, 1 year, and you're still distributing water tanks? Something smells fishy. And I'm going to leave you, Dr. July, with this, because you listen. Anyone who seeks public trust must honor it. Prime Minister July is a failure, and only success can bring us together. It is therefore time, my Straight Dog family, for a fresh start in St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I will, however, open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded, call in. The numbers are on your screen, like I said before. But I always like to implore you that when I open the lines, as I will do momentarily, I will anticipate that you will be fair to all concerned. I anticipate that you will try to build goodwill and better friendships. And the things you say would be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and doing those things, that you will strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. At 8:14, my Straight Up family, 9:14, beg your pardon. We go to the lines and say good night. Caller, you're live.
Good night, Patrick.
Good night, the Bible man. They got back your position, I see.
Now, here, come and tell you something.
Quickly.
I've been giving God thanks and praise for today.
Why just?
I didn't have the time to worry with nobody. All I have to do just to praise the Lord. Now here, I'm not here in Romans chapter 12 and verse 14. My Bible told me here, Patrick, bless them that persecuted you. Bless and curse not. Now, Patrick, I am going to come off the line now because a lot of people get offended. Psalm 41. Blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, Lord shall deliver him. They want the Bible man to say those things. They want the Bible man to say, God give you strength to get wealth. They believe themselves and them make themselves so to get wealth. And God give them. That is, we're not going to put on the honor, but I can say something to you. Be strong, Mr. Patrick. Be courageous, Mr. Patrick. And stand still and see that the Lord is going to do for you. Good night, Mr. Patrick.
Good night, Mr. Bibleman. Thank you for your, what I call, spiritual intervention each time. Let's go back to the lines at 9:17. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Yes. Good night, Brother Patches. Good night,
Good night,
all the listeners.
Good night, my dear brother.
How is your health and strength?
Well, I thank God that I'm in a state of good health. I feel strong as usual. I remain peaceful. What about yourself?
Well, I will say that line as I took that page from your book. I am humble and peaceful.
Okay.
And I try to maintain strength moving forward. But anyway, moving forward. First of all, I must say condolences to my great friend, my disciplined friend, Mr. Pinder. Last week I wanted to call, but overseas line seems to be was shut down. But anyway, moving forward, Pinder was, please allow me this moment, listeners. Pinder was an example of life, survival, which I look at as an icon. Pinder is an example of ignorance. Pinder had, and he suffered for all those years of mental instability. Whatever was the cause that prolonged his situation, I am jumping against on the health sector of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. More specific, St. Kitts. Mental illness is all over. And for a man to be suffering so long, I don't know how he survived that long. But I think his DNA should be studied for that longevity of life living in that condition. And I need the government to take consideration of the mental illness in St. Kitts and Nevis. A lot of people is suffering from that, and they are being ignored. They are described as madman, crazy, loco, as the Spanish said. But it's an instability of health. I think he should be given a good send-off and find out what really was the cause of death. He was a great friend of mine. I have pictures with him. A lot of people claim they probably was scared of him, but he never troubled anyone. He was a very humble and peaceful man. Also, Pinder was a soft, well-spoken man. That guy spoke like an Englishman. Nice, captures your attention. I looked out for him every time I came to St. Kitts, and I really wanted to give him a makeover for the last time I was there, but unfortunately, it never happened. But I will cut my line short and say, may his soul rest in peace and rise to glory.
Okay.
Thank you for that time. I will come in with my other part. I yield to someone else. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. And yes, we overlook the great Pinder, I call him. Yes, he never really interfered with anyone, but he was a survivor. Let's go back to the lines at 21 past 9 o'clock. Caller, you live.
Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear.
The quote for this evening. Corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. I repeat, corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, as usual, for your quotations. Very short one, but very poignant one as well. Corruption is the enemy of development and good governance. Of course, we can agree with that. There's lots of corruption going around as we speak. My Street Talk family at 22 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. You may have just joined me. We are looking at our thesis for tonight. Time for fresh start in St. Kitts and Nevis. And our email are piling on, so I'll try to dispose of as many as possible before they pile over on me or run over. And our First email reads, Patches, boy, your name is so fixated on some people's mind that I believe even when they are sleeping, they have to call your name. Yesterday, I was listening to a call-in program, talk show, where 4 panelists were carrying out a post-mortem on the U.S. elections, where Trump emerged as the 47th president-elect of America. One fellow caustic and vexatious critic of Trump, who had the most disparaging remarks in the past about Trump, when addressing any member on the panel, began by saying, Patches. And when they laughed, boy, not me, not me. The fellow at one time said, oh my, why am I calling this name so often? Fellows, forgive me. So I don't know what it is that you should be on the mind of this fellow. Reads that email. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Patches.
That sounds like the major. Good night, sir.
The major, of course, you know it well. You know it well.
Yes.
Listen to me here. Listen to me. I heard you speaking about time. Time for a fresh start, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, what I have to say as regards that, time to have a fresh start, you have to handle, time is to handle with care. You know that?
Yes.
Handle care. Because if you buy time, you would be deal with any differences. There would be any differences in the way you spend it. If you buy it, you don't have no difference in the way that you spend it. Would you use the minutes, the hours, and the days of your life more wisely? Or, of course, we can't put a price on minutes and hours we possess it. How that sound? Buying time, you can't pay for that. We can't put a tag on it. So therefore, we can't do anything there because we have to use time wisely. Time must be used wisely. You see? Because if there's any difference in the way we spend it, we would use the minutes and hours and the days of your life more wisely. Of course, we can't put a price on minutes and hours we possess it. How that sound?
Major, you've gone to the abstract, I would call it, right? In that, I said you've gone to what I call the abstract. In that, I did in fact say yes, time. But I said time for a fresh start.
Oh, okay.
What you think? What you think?
Yeah. Well, I could say along that. Yes, we have to think. We can't be the same thing all the time. That is why we have changes, isn't it?
Right, and it can be challenging as well. A fresh start.
Yes. That's how. You see. And we have to be careful, because as I said in the open thing, we cannot put a price on that.
Right.
So what are we going to do?
But when you consider the situation now in the economy and the crime and the things are not the same, and everybody is crying out. I mean, I don't know if you still find yourself among the ordinary people, a soldier, but
I understand.
And what solution can one find for the situation?
Why, the only solution I have to say, we have to get together. We have to get together because time is going. We have to get together. We can't just lie down and, as my mother used to say, God died like a sheep. You can't lie down and take with it, so, isn't it? I mean, the lamb did that. People does that, but I don't think I could lie down and take with it. I have to fight me well. I have to fight me.
Like a good soldier.
Yeah. You can't lie down. You can't lie down and play dead,
Right.
When you're dead, you're dead. So you can't lie down and play dead. So once you're alive, we have to do something.
Right. Okay.
We have to sit back and call something like what you had what the lady said. The the lady, the girl who run with Trump. This is the time now to farm the food. We got to get our make up our mind, put ourselves together and get things organized, isn't it?
That's right. But
you listen to her, and she was very. I like her. I like her. I wish she couldn't be. I will marry her if she want me married. That's the first one I will propose marriage to, because I like intellect. And she's very good.
Okay, my brother. Okay, the major.
Yeah.
Only success can bring us together, though. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for your intervention, Major. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Patrick.
Good night, sir.
I'm tuning into your conversation tonight and creating a goodwill and a friendship to your conversation, political conversation. I am not calling to create any diabolical warfare, but I'm just calling to give my opinion and your sentiment politically. I'm just a simple man, have my opinion, like yourself have your opinion. I'm listening to you. Perhaps I'm learning from you, but I still have the right to give a little positive criticism to your political conversation. And I think you try to hang it like a man, someone who have the mic and who have a political talk show. But anyhow, I want to move on to my conversation. You spoke about Marriott, the ledge that, is up for sale, right? You play back a tape with some former minister was talking about Marriott was not something good for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. That same minister.
No, you said golf course, the golf course arrangement.
The golf course. Okay, because so it's not the entire Marriott for sale, just the golf course.
He spoke about the golf course arrangement.
Okay, because I know that same minister, when Marriott was on the way to sink it, ready to jumpstart, he was responsible for the development of Marriott. And because of him, you was a minister of the government also. Because of him, St. Kitts and Nevis almost lose that Marriott, that opportunity to have Marriott. And the former Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas, had to take it from him. That's why we have the Marriott today as a success of St. Kitts to create a development in the country. If Douglas didn't take that responsibility from that previous cause, we would have never have Marriott today. So if Marriott is for sale, these things happen. If the golf course is for sale, these things happen. Changes take place. In reality, things go from hands to hands. So I don't see it as should be a political demand because the golf course is for sale. I don't see it as a political fallout or a political.
The golf course belongs to the Frigga Bay Development Corporation, which is the government. There was an arrangement with the Marriott Hotel and the Frigga Bay Development Corporation. I think it was a 20 or 25-year lease. So the golf course is not for sale. The hotel has been sold. That's what we're saying. And if it is sold, we have to expect that the Prime Minister of the country ought to know that. So we are challenging him to tell the country about the sale. That's all we're doing. And it's been...
Well, I'm in agreement with you.
Fine, that's all we're saying.
Right, I'm in agreement with what you're saying. That's why I'm saying I'm learning from you. That's why I spend my time to... I'm not hearing.
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yeah, that's why I spend my time to listen. That's why I take out my time to listen to you on Mondays and Thursdays, because as you all like to say, we are not living here. We are not living there. We do not understand the political struggle and the nature of the people. But I follow up with my country. You understand? And I try to learn from what you're saying in a positive way. If it's not good for me positively, I'm going to separate it. If your sentiment does not mean well to me, I'm going to separate it from my mind. Because I know that you have the right to criticize the government. But I think in reality, you should give the government some credit also. Because politically, your former government was inheriting a struggle within themselves. And it was a very critical struggle for the people of St. Kitts. It was some hardship. Serious hardship in there. Let us face reality in a positive way. And disagree to agree, I agree to disagree, however it may go. And be honest with ourselves and truthful that there was hardship. Struggle in the house of the people. The people straight.
You're breaking up. I don't know if you're moving around or something, but you're breaking up. So
Yeah. The reception is kind of bad.
Yeah.
Every time I call you, the reception is bad. I don't know why, but you know.
You're probably calling me from your foxhole in St. Thomas, right?
Yeah, I'm calling from my cell phone.
Your foxhole, I said. But anyway, but thanks a lot for your.
No, there's no foxhole. I'm looking at you. Really, I'm looking at you directly on the television. Okay. I'm not hiding my voice. I am not hiding myself. As I say, I'm learning from you.
I'm humble.
But I'm going to separate the good from the bad.
We each one teach one. Don't worry about that. But I'm always welcome your intervention.
I'm separating it.
Yes, my dear. But of course,
give the government some credit to. Give the government some credit.
For what, the hard
You could criticize them.
Credit for the hard
you're talking about the water tanks and all these stuff. I'm in agreement with you with that. That's a bad scheme on the government side. That is not good.
Okay, my brother. I wanna thank you for your intervention. And we hear you, right? But I'll give them credit when credit is due. But I can't find any at this time, my straight dog family, because what we are having here is suffering and hardships in the country and high crime rate. But thanks a lot for your intervention.
But Mr. Patches, we've been inheriting that for a while. You know that. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's exactly what Straight Talk is about. We have we have diversity, we have difference in opinions, and everyone is entitled to their opinion, and so too are you, my caller. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, Mr. Patches, man, you there? Good night, man.
Good night, my brother. How about thou?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm coming with two questions tonight. One, I know it's a new development between you and possibly the Prime Minister about a statement that you made. I don't know if you addressed it earlier tonight. You said you was going to try to really address it on one of these subsequent talk shows when you come on next Mondays and Thursdays. It's specifically about some comments you made about the Prime Minister's son. So we just want to know when we're going to be able to get that information, or when or how you're going to settle that. Is that settled yet, or how are you going to address that going forward? And specifically about the allegation about his son's salary or whatever. So with the general public, we want to get that information. We want to know if that information is truthful or not.
Well,
that's all I can say about that. It's just a question.
As I said before, that I'm happy and I appreciate that the Prime Minister responded in the way he responded. And as I said, it's unfortunate it took him so long to respond to all these reliable rumors. And he must also provide full disclosure on all the special envoys, all the ambassadors. He said he's going to promise a list. We need to know, right? I also said, though, that in the area where you live and elsewhere, right? Everything the government does, it has to give an explanation to the people. So in St. Kitts there should be no difference. But there is a definite weakness here in St. Kitts and Nevis, because that is not happening, and everybody seems to be doing as they like. And the fourth estate, the press and media, they're like palace guards. But I also said, suffice to add, is that I ask you not to mind the attempts to muzzle me. I want you to understand as well that we must understand that the power in the people is stronger than the people in power. That's the most I'll say on that. I've said a little more before.
Okay, let me go along with some secondary questions. So how is the general public going to get the proof on that issue?
How the what?
And secondly, how is the general public is going to get the proof on that issue? And secondly, the list of the ambassadors and the envoys, where can we go to get that list? Is that somewhere you can get that list and present it to your listeners?
Well, the Prime Minister must be upfront with the country. He himself said he has to find a list. He damn well appoints all of them. How come he doesn't have a list? The same way, I mean, come on. There's no special envoy or ambassador appointed unless the Prime Minister approves it. It's the same thing he said about the CBI. He signs every certificate of registration. And he tells you all sorts of nonsense. And now he's trying to block the judicial review being that was taken to court. You know?
So
we need transparency. Hello?
So undoubtedly, this list of the ambassadors and envoys, are you purporting that on that list will be his son and allegedly his wife? Because I heard that information to the grapevines. Is you hoping to
what I'm saying that he has an obligation to provide a list. I happen to know some people who are paid, but he must be given the first right of refusal to provide that list to the public, the general public.
Okay.
That is his obligation to the people.
Hopefully that will get revealed sometime soon. Hopefully that will get revealed sometime soon.
Sooner rather than later.
But anyway, you'll handle that in your own way. Okay, let's go forward again.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask another question. Has there ever been, or when was the last time there was a referendum in St. Kitts and Nevis, whether federally or locally, when they have an election?
A referendum?
Yeah, to get any type of changes that the people, has been asking for. To make changes on the ground there in terms of, the Constitution and anything, any other pertinent questions that may come up in society about any issue that the people might want to add or take away to, the political stuff that goes on in the Federation. Has there ever been recently or when the last time they have a does they do that type of stuff in St. Kitts and Nevis to make changes or to get stuff happening progressively?
The only referendum I know that took place and that's binding is the referendum that was activated under Clause 113 in Nevis. There's no other that I know of binding referenda that took place here.
Well, the people have been asking for changes. We've been asking about updating the Constitution, made by amendments or whatever. And we noticed that some of these intangible stuff that the people have been asking for, constitutional reform, to get better relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis, electoral reform. It just seems like those things are being pushed back on the back burner. If we want St. Kitts and Nevis to straighten up as a federation, why aren't we getting those reforms done now. I mean, right now, it appears like the Prime Minister and the Premier has a good relationship. When relationship is bad, there's no way we're going to get those reforms done. So what I'm proposing is, why can't we get those changes done now, while it appears that the relationship between Bastille and Charlestown seems to be cordial, seems to be, we have a decent relationship. It seems like they have some type of relationship going on between the Premier and the Prime Minister. So why not get those type of reforms done now, while the relationship seems to be okay? Because when there's hostility between Charleston and Bastille, there's no way those changes are going to get done.
Yes, my straight talk, my brother, I believe that you're correct, but I think the territoriality that comes out in these politicians from across the Narrows on both sides, prevents that.
And then lastly, may I add, man, before I get off, we've been following the political election in the USA, and I want to remind people, man, politics is dirty. It's a dirty game, and if you can't take it, don't get inside, man. And for those people who don't vote and always want to have the biggest say about politics, I don't really like that personally. In order for you to talk, people got their opinions and you can talk, yeah, but it's a good idea to participate, and then we can have a greater discussion. You know what I mean? But right after an election, when a winner is being declared, I just want the people to know we're living in this democracy nations, and according to this democracy, man, it's like playing sports, man. When a winner is declared, it's time for the new leader to take office, and time for him to govern, him and his administration, his cabinet. It's time to unite the country. It's time to uplift the people and improve the quality of life. I don't care which side of the spectrum you're on. I'm going to put it out there honestly, man. I voted for Kamala Harris, and I'm not afraid to say that. Some people are hiding. They want to act like they're neutral, but they're not. Don't pretend that you're backing somebody. You make it be known. Right now, I'm on the losing side. But guess what? You cannot be on the winning side all the time. There must be some type of degree of sportsmanship. Politics is just like playing sports. If you cannot have the sportsmanship, do not get inside of it either. Because guess what? They're going to always have people who have differences of opinion. Even your husband at home or your wife at home doesn't always see the same thing like what you're seeing. You just have to get to that mutual ground and hash out your differences and get back on that level ground to move forward, to progress your relationship, to progress your family, to progress your village, to progress your district, political district or otherwise, to progress your country. We're just going to see what Trump is made of, and we got to put our support behind this man.
Okay.
He got 4 years to do what he said he's going to do. Let's see what he's going to do of all the promises he made. Down in Thesis and Nevis, I would encourage the young people to get involved in their politics there on the ground. We got to get involved in our own politics. We cannot be on these talk shows saying we are not talking politics when we are. Politics is everywhere. It's in our families. It's in the street. It's in school. It's in sports. It's everywhere. You cannot get past this stuff no more. We got to grab the bull by the horn. The people of Thesis and Nevis, they got to get involved in their politics so that they can stop some of these politicians who don't have any integrity. We just need leaders that got integrity. It doesn't matter which party you're backing on the ground there in Thesis and Nevis. And the notion that people down there on the ground is keep telling us that we don't know what's going on the ground. Stop watching and looking on social media and Facebook. This is social media time. Patches, I'm gonna tell you right now. I gotten some information this afternoon, even before a media person on the ground got the information. Over an hour past today, when I asked him about this press brief and this press release, he did not get that information. And I'm in the United States, and I got that information before him there on the ground. And I will tell you right now, November 18th, 11 a.m., I heard through the grapevines, Philip Martinez is going to be having a press brief, probably in that hotel he got down there locked down. And every person in St. Nevis should try to get to this event, because that non-transparency about our own CBI, it took Philip Martinez to blow up this spot. We need to find out what's going on with our own CBI. All that millions and billions of dollars these guys collected over 40 years, the citizens did not enjoy that money like that.
Okay.
We don't see the enough tangibles on the ground, and the citizens did not get enough dividends. Those dividends will go back this year. That's a shame. Diana is going to push out dividends for the citizens over there with that oil that they got now. The citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, a framework should have been put in place in that CBI program, so the citizens should get them dividends from day one and improve the quality of life in St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis should have been in tip-top shape.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good night.
Thank you very much. You said a mouthful there, my dear brother. Thanks a lot for your intervention. Mr. Liburd, people in the country, or in this country, has to be very careful, especially those who call in on radio programs, and essentially more so the host of ZIZ, which is a government station. I was driving two white persons from the hotel back to the airport. And what I gleaned from their conversations, they came here to extrapolate from people what their thoughts were on the presidency of the U.S. election. I will not disclose some things I heard them say, but when a number of you are denied visas and when the Federation are blacklisted for whatever reason, remember to blame yourselves. The Premier of Nevis, the men told me, has already congratulated Donald Trump, and it was surprising that they have not heard anything from the Prime Minister. Donald Trump is the president-elect, and all due respect he deserves, whether we like him or not. The Bible says in Romans 1-7 that all governments are chosen by God. Will the atheist advisor to the Prime Minister, who last Sunday evening on his Freedom Radio program cursed and abused President Trump to the core? Is that why Prime Minister Drew can't congratulate Donald? Read this email. I think I saw something from Prime Minister Drew, though, in terms of a congratulatory message to the president-elect. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, once again, Brother Patches. This is Brother Welcome. The caller that called previously, I will second his motion. I will second his views. He said it right. But if I may add to it, government is continuous. And government, good government with good governance, should be transparent. Government has to make the people, keep the people informed of what's going on into the country. Government must utilize the Procurement Act. The people of the Federation of St. Kitts are kept into the dark. Which means in and out. In will never be aware of noticement. Now, the people of St. Kitts, they are not paying attention to their politics or to what's going on in their country. That is why some will say they will not vote, or they will not this, they will not that. You all have to open up your eyes My grandfather said, you must always look, you must always watch, you must always listen, you must always observe, and then you make that decisive blow of a sound decision. I, for one, will like the goodness of what substance are there and are yet to come for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. If I may differ from that, Patches, that bridge that you so embrace, that you so endorse, and all who endorse, it shall happen. It shall happen.
Okay.
I have a vision in respect to that. But I'm asking the people of St. Kitts, I am participating number 8 constituency. Give me a chance just to be a minister, and I will ruffle feathers. It doesn't matter whether I am in St. Kitts or I am in the United States. My eyes is on home, and nowhere is sweeter than home. Home, sweet home. Thank you for listening to me. Goodbye, folks. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. It's 9:54 as we wind down. Good night. Patches reads this email. The election of Donald Trump to the presidency of the United States of America should be a real wake-up call to the July administration that one should never write off a former leader who has a history of looking after the poor and indigent, as Dr. Timothy Harris did in his 7 short years in office as Prime Minister of this our beautiful nation. Under Donald Trump, previous presidency, the American people claimed to have had a better standard of living, and they didn't protest as they ought against Biden and Kamala, but they waited for the November 5th elections to make their voices in the form of their vote count, and so did they in a dramatic fashion. Donald Trump, a man who was vilified, scorned by world leaders, along with most of our Caribbean leaders, must be shaking in their boots now and expecting retribution. Timothy Harris and his family, just like Trump, has been through the rough waters, through the vicious floods, and through the fires of July. But because of the blood of Jesus on Timothy's life, he has endured it all. And like Donald Trump, he too will rise from the phoenix of despair and capture the win in the upcoming election in St. Kitts and Nevis. This will definitely happen, Patches, because say whatever you will, there is one indisputable fact that under Dr. Timothy Harris, we had a good standard of living, including freedom of speech, freedom of association, and peace and freedom to live in this our fair land with dignity. Timothy Harris, just like Trump, told the people the truth, even if it is not popular. Thank you, Patches, for your continued informative show as you continue to victoriously kick against the pricks and snares laid bare against you by this wicked July administration, instigated by the Nannygate AG, who is hiding behind the cloak of his law firm to catch you. Just stand by, Patches, as the good Lord will intervene and fight your battle, and your victory over Dr. July and the Nannygate AG will be assured. Keep doing what you are doing, Patches, as you can be assured that those who are for you are more than those who are against you. Thank you, Patches reads that email. Thank you as well. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night. Good night. So how art thou?
I am blessed. I am blessed in the name of the Lord. Yes, Mr. Liburd, I have been hearing people speaking about the Marriott. And you is right in what you said. The Prime Minister should come out and tell people what is the situation if the Marriott is going to be sold. Because I wonder if they could remember under this Labour administration, when Dr. Douglas was the Prime Minister, they had people leave from home to go over to work and was confronted by army men to go and please take out that thing and get out the compound and the same Marriott. And you is right in what you said, that the Prime Minister come and tell the people exactly what is the situation, that if it's sold, they will not get fed or whatever.
Yes.
And I think Donald Trump is going to give the whole world a toss up. Because what he said he's going to do, he's going to do. And in America, they do not want any woman to be no president in their office. They also need a man. That is the whole situation right now in America. But we all have to stay here and suck salt and make sure that the Lord stands for Kamala to go on again and win her seat and bring back America and the people in the whole world a chance to confront what they have to do in life.
Okay.
But please let the people know what happened under the Labour administration with the same Marriott. How the people was asked by our army officers to leave the compound with guns. And Dr. Douglas was off island.
Okay.
I could remember these things. And when they came here, they said they wanted the Gulf Coast, the Gulf Coast from the Frigate Corporation. But they didn't tell nobody nothing that the Gulf Coast is going to be along with the Marriott.
Okay, my brother.
I woke up with it. I didn't know exactly what went on. So that's why I could come here tonight and speak.
Okay.
But please send out the message to let Dr. Joe come and speak to the nation about what's going to happen to that Marriott. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well. And I think that we are all in concurrence. We do all agree with you. Good night, Mr. Liburd. I saw this post on Facebook today and it reads, "This was sent to me by a very concerned and scared dialysis patient. Obi, I'm scared. They closed down the dialysis unit in St. Kitts yesterday until Monday. 6 long days. Obi, we need our dialysis done every other day. Otherwise, our lives are at risk. We can hardly drink or eat anything for those days out of fear that the unit is not available to clean our blood." Reads this email. This other email reads, "Good night, Patches. Imagine the same superintendent was told not to do an interview. Others went and they say they fail. If they fail and he was told not to do any, how he got promoted? How much marks he got? It have to be 0% because he ain't went on the interview. Lord help us," reads this email. "Good night, Mr. Liburd. It's funny Dr. July grew up poor, but now he's prime minister. He forgot where he came from. He must remember he used to beg bread and didn't have clothes. I can say more, but I'll stop there for now. For those who think I'm making up things, I know the facts," reads this email. "Good night, Mr. Liburd. Can the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis sign a petition to get out this incompetent government from office? I mean, we the citizens are the ones who put them in. We should be able to take them out. I think it's of paramount importance that we get them out before the next election. Otherwise, we will be in deeper waters than the Titanic," reads this email. "Good night, Patches. Correction. The Shadwell area water normally returns at 4 a.m. and for the past 2 days it goes just a little after 9 a.m. Yesterday and today it did not return until the following day. Rain is falling, yet water comes in the morning." Well, good night, Patches. I would like to know if Minister Maynard is aware of the serious water situation in Shadwell. Thanks, Patches. Well, yes, he ought to be aware that the Shadwell 1 well has been decommissioned because of the quality of the water there, as it was declared unfit for human consumption. And that's what's causing the real problem. My Straight Talk family, as we wrap today, we have made the point that things are hard. We told you that July was trying to, as he said, diversify the CBI. He said this, my Straight Talk family.
From the days of sugar, when sugar was king, the diversification was always the way. We learned from tourism that tourism should not be the only leg on which our economic life stands, our economy stands, but it should be multi-pronged, diversified, in local parlance, multiple legs, or more than one foot, as we would say. It's critically important that we set a strategy that can achieve that, because when we see what happened with the CBI, we come to realize, if we had not realized, how critically important it is to have a diversified economy. And I would always say it was poor, neglectful, bad leadership to bring St. Kitts and Nevis to depend so heavily on one sector. And I would say that that was one of the most irresponsible economic strategy that this country has ever had. Irresponsible, because we could have done better.
And my Straight Talk family, we ask ourselves the question, with what Dr. July has done with the CBI, what's more irresponsible than cutting his revenue stream in the attempt to diversify the CBI? Because they are not getting applications. Yet he has not diversified and has no money coming from the diversification, because he's now trying to recover. And why shouldn't they tell us how many applications they have had for the last, what are we now, last 10 months of the year? We are in trouble. And I made mention, as I would wrap tonight, that the Marriott Hotel has been sold. That's the information I have before me. And I'm saying that this economy is so bad, and the leadership in this country is so bad, that even Vic Dezeng is getting to hell out of here. I know another investor whose name I won't call, because I would have to ask him if it's okay. He's very private. But he's saying he's going to get rid, he's going to offload, to use his words, all the land and properties he has here. And he has already moved to St. Martin. I don't know what's behind the decision of the Zeng to sell. But he got an offer and he accepted. I don't know if he was just in the business. But what I'm saying, my Straight Talk family, that it is or has been purchased by a Chinese pension fund. And what we are saying is the Prime Minister of this country, Dr. July, needs to clear the air and tell the people of this country that the Marriott has been sold. He must have known. He must also tell the people why all of a sudden, with only 2 years and a little more in office, and this man who invested over $250 million of his own money to construct a hotel in the late 90s, why is it all of a sudden the Zeng has decided to make his exit? There has been an offer and an acceptance. So we ask the question as we wind down tonight's programming. What does this hold for the future of the Marriott Hotel itself? And by extension, what does it hold for the entire tourism sector in St. Kitts and Nevis? We know that there were issues with Zeng Cooperation and the Frigate Bay Development Cooperation as it relates to the Gulf Coast. But so important was this investor that the Zeng Boulevard was named after him. Will this government now change the name to the Chinese Pension Fund Boulevard? My Straight Dog family, July continues to remain out of step with the people of St. Kitts Nevis who are crying out loud. But he is either not hearing or he's just not listening, my Straight Dog family. One senior cried out. Did he hear this senior?
It is not EASY. It is not EZ. And do not be fooled. Do not let no nice show and no nice thing fool you. The $500 from the PAP, it is so helpful. It come in so handy.
But that was then, because he has dismantled the PAP and took thousands of people off of this poverty alleviation program. Single mothers have cried out to him.
You know, I think, you know, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help, especially for a single parent. We do have a rough time.
So rough, my Straight Dog family. This team of self-proclaimed experts is out of touch with the majority of the people and the direction in which the country wants to go. July and his team are on the wrong track. People can't buy food to eat. People can't pay their rent. People can't pay their electricity bills. People can't get water to bathe their skin. And worse yet, people are not safe. Jurors are being shot dead. Yes, said the AG Garth Lucifer Wilkin.
At this point, as you mentioned, jurors, I try to ignore the social media and the WhatsApp foolishness that is created by very bad people in our society. But there was something going around about a juror and the AG ain't said nothing about it. And let me tell you something. A juror was murdered. One of the three persons that was murdered last week was a juror.
A juror murdered. And what did he do? Run to the parliament and pass legislation for judge-only trial without consultation with the people. He took away the rights of the people to be judged by a jury of their peers. Imagine, the country has returned to the colonial days when we were tried by a white man. Yes, he knows that white man. But my Straight Dog family, at the end of 2 years and counting, we can say that the juice was not worth the squeeze. There's much talk about sustainable island state and transformation. But any transformation here in St. Kitts will take years. It may take decades. But we must begin with quick wins that can create momentum. Then we can tackle deeper systemic issues. The road to a fresh start can be challenging. But with the right leadership, commitment, and inclusive planning, our country can reinvent itself and build a brighter future for its citizens. My Straight Dog family, as that quotation said, one impediment is that corruption is prevalent in St. Kitts and Nevis. And as that caller said to us in a quotation, Corruption is the enemy of development and good governance. A fresh start requires leaders who can unite rather than divide. It is essential to foster a leadership culture that is committed to public service, transparency, accountability, and integrity. Drew tells us about the Development Bank. For some time, he has not spoken about that. He told us that $5.8 million was spent. Well, we found that out. He didn't tell us. But 1,000 water buckets cost $5.8 million that to date have not been accounted for. And just a few days, he was exposed by this question, my Straight Talk family, on these water buckets.
Blessed good morning, Honorable Prime Minister. What I'm going to look after you when you were small that you reach that Prime Minister. But I want you to put things for me. Me children them ain't getting on the ice castle though. Me children them ain't getting on the water tank.
Okay. I want the names.
To help them
No
get
problem.
the water tank. And good Prime Minister,
Casilda.
you take care.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are distributing the water tanks. The water tanks we are using, especially when we had the drought situation, so that people can have a large receptacle to fill up. We continue to distribute them, but this is Casilda, and I would ask my office to look into it and to see where we are with it.
Why would it take over a year, over 12 months to distribute water tanks? No accountability. And I say, in closing, Dr. Drew, anyone who seeks public trust must honor it. Prime Minister Drew is a failure. Across the waters, the Premier is a failure. But only success can bring us together. And I conclude, it is therefore time for a fresh start in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. And this message reads, please, Patches inform is welcome that we do not elect ministers, we elect representatives, please. Yes, please. Yes. And I want to thank you, my Straight Talk family, those who called and those who sent emails, those who just listen. Remember, all of you, the callers, the viewers, the listeners, and the emailers, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Monday, I say, be good to all whom you meet. Remember, when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday, have yourselves a wonderful weekend, my Straight Talk family.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food